Right, how are you doing? He's hoping that all is well with you from wherever you're watching us. Thank you so much for joining us for yet another exciting edition of Meet the CEO. My name, as always, is Eugene Anangwe. The person we're meeting on the program today is not necessarily a CEO from how we understand the word CEO or the title CEO, but he represents South Africa here in Rwanda. He's none other than His Excellency High Commissioner George Twala. Thank you so much for joining us on the program, sir.
Thank you for inviting me.
Right, so it's the first time probably we are having a conversation, even us here at this particular TV station with the High Commissioner or representative of the South African government here. But before we get even deeper into the bilateral relations between Rwanda and South Africa, people always want to get to know these officials that they see, the people they see in the news. And so it's important for us to just start from there. Could you tell us a bit about your background, who you are in terms of how you've grown up and to get to where you are today?
Tall order, but a very short one. Briefly, I was born in Johannesburg, grew up in KwaZulu-Natal, came back, settled in Johannesburg with a family. Studied in Soweto. June 16 came, was one of the students who were involved in the organization of June 16. Got arrested. In subsequent years, spent 13 months in solitary confinement by state security at the time. Was charged with sedition. I think government, the then racist government, said we were using the masses. That's what sedition is. Using the masses to hold government to ransom. You know, we had all sorts of issues, stay away, where we were telling our parents not to go to work, etc., etc. It was part of the broader struggle against apartheid, with education as the critical issue. Right. Especially Africans as a medium of instruction. Went into exile on my release, did all sorts of issues, stayed in Tanzania for quite a long time. Lakini nakuwa Swahili sasa.
Right, so you speak good Swahili.
No, not very good. Not very good. It has waned over time, but I think I'm resuscitating it now. Right. So went back to the country to some years in exile, and was the dispensation that we today have for democratic South Africa. That's it. Right. You know, I don't know, for some strange reason, whatever the reason was, then the president assigned me to come here and represent South Africa. Right.
Quite a rich history there. I mean, of course, a ton of events during your growing up, especially even the process of being held, being arrested, put into solitary confinement. How did that change you? How did that build you? How did that mold you or affect your growth into the person you are today?
Well, more than anything else, I think that actually ingrained a sense of justice in me. To sit down and begin to look at the world in a different version. I think the influences that I got at that time did quite a lot to strengthen me and build me, shape me to actually be committed to a whole range of peace struggles, frankly speaking. I'd like to see peace. I enjoy tranquility. I like to see development. It's issues that I aspire to have one continent where the whole African countries become one. Maybe there's also the view of saying perhaps the vision that we have as AU, even to break down all various borders and have free movement to facilitate the growth and development. These are issues that have become very inspiring to me. These are issues that I would want to see happen like yesterday, you know. To see stability in a whole range of ways, because it's only with peace that you can have development.
Mm-hmm.
It's only with peace and stability that all our children, all of us, can enjoy and thrive in actually enjoying the dividends thereof.
Right. But with all this at the background or the backdrop of your mind and the current state of affairs as it is, this is a wish, this is something you'd really love to see. But if we come back to reality, we open up our eyes and see the way things are today, when it comes to that unity, the borders, we're still using visas to travel into African countries within Africa, an African using a visa to get into an African country. Do these things make you sad? Do you feel that something needs to be done? And what would that be to ensure that these borders are opened and we are able to just move in and be that one continent, as you say?
Look, I think the correct approach, let's look at ideal and reality.
Mm-hmm.
This continent, over the past 25, 50 years, what have we seen in the continent? We've seen a whole range of miseries, actually. Sit-tight presidents, coups after coups, no development, just misery, broadly speaking. What has happened since the AU? Progress has begun to be registered. We've had stability. I mean, it took the continent to take a position that says, we will not tolerate coups in Africa. You do a coup, you're out of the continent. We will isolate you. We will bring all that we have to bear on you to actually live. Spate of coups thus far. What has happened in the past 10 years? There's been almost no coups. Wherever there has been a coup, the AU has come in to actually say, watch it, and people have retreated. So you've never had a person who stages a coup staying in power for a year or whatever. Everybody does it. In 3-6 months, they come out with all sorts of institutions to actually ensure that peace comes back, elections happen, and people take over. And the will of the people is always respected everywhere else. So to a great extent, there has been progress with AU.
Right.
To a great extent, we now have had various economic regions beginning to talk to each other to say, let's get together, let's talk, let's resolve issues, let's trade amongst ourselves, let's do everything. The current climate where economically the whole world is slung, it's involved in a whole range, grappling with progress, etc. Suddenly the continent has said, we are strong, we've got resources, we've got all the issues, why should we be starving? Frankly speaking, what we ought to be doing, if you look at the continent, the number of youth that we have in the continent, far outweigh, it's a big resource that we're not utilizing.
Right.
Go to Europe, the very countries that colonized us in the past. We should be sending them walking sticks. We've got a lot of trees here. Some of them we should be shopping and exporting walking sticks to Europe. Because you've got a continent filled with, and I'm not being vulgar here, geriatrics. Our youth, in large numbers, what are they doing? At least, you know, you have a case of Rwanda, which has come out to say we will be an ICT capital of the region and of the continent if needs be. So there's a lot of developments that are happening. So all these issues are issues that are being geared in the direction of making at least this continent not only peaceful, but progressive, adopting a whole range of economic strategies to ensure that we gainfully get our youth to be more involved in issues. I mean, Rwanda will be hosting the World Economic Forum now. What country are we talking about? We're talking about a country that was completely reduced to ruins some 20 odd years ago. Look at Rwanda today. Frankly speaking, without casting aspersions anywhere else, you would think this country never went through the Tastadi Act
that it went through.
You would think this country has been independent, like Algeria in the 50s, you know. You would think nothing ever happened.
Right. And so what then do you think is pulling our leaders back from involving our youth and ensuring that we have this state of progress that you're talking about? Why are we not pulling in the same direction, all of us as Africa, and we are isolating and saying, Rwanda, look at how Rwanda is doing. Why can't we talk of the entire continent? What are we doing wrong?
Frankly, we need political leadership that is committed to development. We need political parties that have got clear programs, not wishy-washy things, clear programs that are able to sit down and say, this is the way forward. We need a leadership in any given country where the president of the country and the governing party, I'm not saying ruling party, I'm saying governing party,
yes,
must work out a program to say these are the issues we seek to offer, and let them take that decision and implement it. So clearly, in its implementation, there are issues we've got to be fighting about. We've got to be fighting corruption. We need to be fighting all sorts of blue envelopes and white envelopes under the table. Let's have transparency. Let's ensure that everybody else, in terms of the party political programs that we talk about, we realize those issues, whatever the challenges may be. It's not an easy thing to say. It's not an easy thing to do, but it's a political will that will ensure that we emerge triumphant.
So we need the political will. But talking of the current way that Africa is looked at, a very, rich continent with, endowed with resources, but look at how things happen when it comes to, dependence on aid, donors. How do we ensure that we use the resources that we have to be independent economically, independent in terms of, not waiting for the hand of the Western nations to come and say, do this or do that so that we can give you this and that? How do we become self-reliant as a continent?
Chief, I am saying we need the political will of our leaders and various governing parties. If we have got that, that's the first step in the right direction. My former president, Thabo Mbeki, has been talking to the diaspora with some of the other leaders, trying to encourage those amongst us who are abroad to come back to the continent. They've been trained, which means we must do training here.
Right.
They've got skills, which means we need to share those skills. It means our leaders must ensure that they assist in the capacitation of our youth. So the steps are quite clear. All I am saying is required the political will and having a dynamic and vibrant political strategy to see that through.
Right.
There is no other formula.
No other formula on that. And if we get that right, then we're on the right direction.
I'm sure we would be going somewhere.
Right. Let me take you back to your growing up, because I'm sure those who look up to you today and say, I would love to be like him, I'd love to, be able to speak such kind of words of wisdom out there, but probably they do not understand what you went through during your childhood. I'm talking about back in your early days as a child. How was life like during those days? And if you look back, and could you smile and say, yes, I went through this, but this is what shaped me to the man I am today?
Look, I grew up under apartheid. A very difficult time. I'll tell you this. I recall at some stage I was doing JC, standard grade 10 now, or something like that. I was doing sciences, maths, biology, physical science, etc. I had never seen a test tube test tubes, that small little thing.
Yes.
But I knew that sodium plus water creates an explosion. The reaction is very bad. At some stage at my school, our science teacher organized with some white school somewhere, some Catholic school. We went there. For the first time, I saw what a school would look like, what a laboratory would look like.
You had never seen this?
I had never. I mean, I was in a school at Orlando High. And had I ever seen a Bunsen burner? I saw the picture, so you had to memorize
how it looks
like, and be able to do the experiment in your head. But for the first time, I actually went to that school, and I saw a Bunsen burner, and I could see when you put something in the test tube and when you do an experiment, I would actually see what they were talking about, what hydroxide is, etc. Those things were not there. And these are the issues that I sought to see in my childhood. And I'm glad to say that in my years in exile, when I went to Solomon Mahlangu Freedom College, I taught for some time there. The international community assisted us as a liberation movement at the time. And as, well, we were referred to as refugees, but the Tanzanians refer to us as freedom fighters. Wapigani wa uhuru. We built a laboratory there. So students who were doing the sciences, they could go in and actually see what a test tube is. It was well equipped. So these are the issues that you know, if you look at where I came from and what I saw in later years. And these are the issues that I think all governments,
need to ensure,
without exception,
need
to ensure that they capacitate in schools.
Right.
I mean, it's an interesting development that in Rwanda already you now have iPads,
iPads, laptops for children in schools.
For children.
Yes.
We've started that. I think the same program is being rolled out in South African schools now. In Gauteng, primarily, it's being rolled out. So, for the first time, we can actually see some progress taking place. At least our trees are going to be safe now, because all of us would be using all these laptops and that. I don't know about these issues. I think,
but at least our trees would be safe. We're not going to make papers.
Our children would grow, and at least something would happen. At least some of the youth would also be able to benefit out of those issues.
So from what you went through, it made you feel like you do not want to see any child going to school go through the same.
It shouldn't.
All right. Thank you. We're going to take a very short break, but when we come back, we talk more. We'll move the conversation forward, look at the bilateral ties between Rwanda and South Africa, and more of your childhood and getting to know you better.
No.
Thank you so much. So, stay with us. We're taking a very short break, but we're coming back in a very short while. Thank you so much for always being with us. Talk to us through the addresses that are appearing on your screen. Tell us your feedback on the program and the people that you'd like us to bring on the show and those that you'd love to understand even better. I'm right here with His Excellency George Twala, the High Commissioner of South Africa in Rwanda. Stay with us.